everybody in this room because I know what you've been through. My mother had Alzheimer's, and her disease, I walked through it with her, you know, and as we all do. And one of the things that I realized that as the years went by, she started going back and back. So she ended up towards the end talking about her mom and dad. So I got to hear about my grandparents. And there were times when she didn't recognize her car, didn't recognize the house, and I became her sister. She didn't have a sister, but I was her sister, and that was okay. So I have been through some of the journey that you've been through. So I present that to you and speak my admiration because I had help. I don't know how many of you have help. You must have help because you're here. I feel for those that can't get out to get here. You know, because I know that there's that dedication, and then there's that I'm the only one that can do this sometimes when it's our loved one. We know them better than anybody, so we see those little looks or the thoughts, and we think, oh, okay, I know what that means. So sometimes we think we're superhuman. And so I want to tell you, don't try to be superhuman. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have stress. We're going to need to talk about that stress. I listened to a talk on Sunday, actually it was a church service, and learned a new quote. It said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent. It is the one most adaptable to change." And Charles Darwin said that. And I think if you can ever think of something you need to do with Alzheimer's, it's change. Or with dementia. You never know what the next day is going to bring. Whether it's going to be a good day or whether it's going to be a challenging day. So, as I said, I know the journey you've been on. It's the hardest journey I think many of us will ever have to face. And the most rewarding. You know, how intimate, how much more caring, how much more love can you show somebody than as they become more dependent, you provide for them. So kudos to each of you. I know you get blessings from that, and I know you get tired from that. So we're here to talk about some of the reasons you get tired. Okay? I came up with a phrase last night as I was thinking about this. I'd already written it, but I came up with respond to the responsibility. And I started looking up the words, and that respond, of course, means to react. And if we're reacting, we're already off course, right? Because it's something that we've got to do. And then the responsibility, it said, that is trustworthy. I thought that was a cool phrase, because it's just, you got to be trustworthy to take care of your loved one. How many of you feel tension, though, when I say the word responsibility? Yeah, I don't want to hear that word. But we take it on because who else is going to do it? And it's kind of like, okay, I better help here. Somebody's got to do these things. I have a poem I want to share with you. It's a little long. I've read it to so many people for so many things. It's not just for dementia caregivers. I think you'll realize, for all of us. It's by Charles Finn, and I have a copy of it for you also. It's about 2.5 pages long, but if you'll just bear with me, I think you'll understand why I'm sharing it with you. It's called Please Hear What I'm Not Saying. Don't be, glasses. Don't be blurred. Okay, there we go. All right. Don't be fooled by me. Don't be fooled by the face I wear, for I wear a mask, 1,000 masks. Masks that I'm afraid to take off, and none of them is me. Pretending is an art that's second nature with me, but don't be fooled. For God's sakes, don't be fooled. I give you the impression that I'm secure, that all is sunny and unruffled with me, within as well as without. That confidence is my name and coolness is my game. That the water's calm and I'm in command, and that I need no one. But don't believe me. My surface may seem smooth, but my surface is my mask, ever varying and ever concealing. Beneath lies no complacence. Beneath lies confusion and fear and aloneness. But I hide this. I don't want anybody to know it. That's why I frantically create a mask to hide behind, a nonchalant, sophisticated facade to help me pretend, to shield me from the glance that knows. But such a glance is precisely my salvation, my only hope, and I know it. That is, if it's followed by acceptance, if it's followed by love. It's the only thing that can liberate me from myself, from my own self-built prison walls, from the barriers I so painstakingly erect. It's the only thing that will assure me of what I can't assure myself, that I'm really worth something. But I don't tell you this, I don't dare. I'm afraid to. I'm afraid your glance will not be followed by acceptance and will not be followed by love. I'm afraid you'll think less of me, that you'll laugh, and your laugh would kill me. I'm afraid that deep down I'm nothing, that you will see this and reject me. So I play my game, my desperate pretending game, with a facade of assurance without and a trembling child within. So begins the glittering but empty parade of masks, and my life becomes a front. I idly chatter to you of the suave tones of surface talk. I tell you everything that's really nothing, and nothing of what's everything. Love that phrase. Of what's crying within me. So when I'm going through my routine, do not be fooled by what I'm not saying. Please listen carefully and try to hear what I'm not saying, what I'd like to be able to say, what for survival I need to say, but what I can't say. I don't like hiding. I don't like playing superficial, phony games. I want to stop playing them. I want to be genuine and spontaneous and me. But you've got to help me. You've got to hold out your hand even when it seems to be the last thing that I want. Only you can wipe away from my eyes the blank stare of the breathing dead. Only you can call me into aliveness. Each time you're kind and gentle and encouraging, my heart begins to grow wings. Very feeble wings, but wings. With your power to touch me into feeling, you can breathe life into me. I want you to know that. I want you to know how important you are to me. How you can be a creator, an honest to God creator of the person that is me if you choose to. You alone can break down the wall behind which I tremble. You alone can remove my mask. You alone can release me from my shadow world of panic, from my lonely prison, if you choose to. Please choose to. Do not pass me by. It will not be easy for you. A long conviction of worthlessness builds strong walls. The nearer you approach to me, the blinder I may strike back. It's irrational, but despite what books say about man, often I am irrational. I fight against the very thing I cry out for, but I'm told that love is stronger than strong walls, and in this lies my hope. Please try to beat down those walls with firm hands, but with gentle hands, for a child is very sensitive. Who am I, you may wonder? I am someone you know very well, for I am every man you meet, and I am every woman you meet. So, I believe, I don't know this to be true, but many caregivers are isolated and don't have somebody that they can say, this is really a bad day. My God, this happened, or that happened, or I wasn't sure what to do when this happened. So I encourage you, all of us, no matter if we're caregiving or not, to speak to somebody, anybody. You know, maybe it's not one person that gets everything about what's going on. It was hard for me to speak up. I didn't want to say, yeah, mom's having a bad day. But when I did, I felt so much better than to burden that, to carry it myself. So I wanted to share that with you. I'm going to have many little exercises. I would like to ask for a volunteer. You will need to get up and do a little bit of a procedure or exercise with me. I will not touch you, I will not shame you. Could I have somebody?
Christy.
Christy. Well, Christy and I know each other, but we'll give it a shot.
I had my hands clasped.
See?
Don't
Yeah.
volunteer.
Okay, you're perfect.
I am?
Yeah, just stand
Awesome.
right there. Okay, good. This exercise is about boundaries. I teach this a lot too, because everybody has them, but doesn't always know how to set them. So for this exercise, I'm going to, sorry.
It's okay. Sorry.
To ask Christy, all she has to do is to tell me, stop. Okay? And when she's okay with me starting to walk towards her. So, when you're
I'm
ready.
ready.
Okay? Stop. Okay? Alright, is that better?
That's better.
Alright. For this exercise, I'm gonna disrespect that. And I'm gonna walk forward. What do you do? Right? Okay. So for this exercise, stress keeps happening. I'm not sure what to do. I don't voice that I need you to stop, because maybe you didn't listen in the first place. So why say stop again? So I just go on in. What do you do? Okay. And for this exercise, if you'll step back until you touch the wall. Okay. I'm not gonna step in because it's so uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
I could get really close and I could be here with my face. I'm not doing that to her. What does it feel like?
Makes me catch my breath.
Okay.
And, you wanna be nice.
Right.
It kicks in, you don't wanna be rude.
Right.
So you just kinda quietly step away or sideways and, just give away.
Okay. So tell me what else it's doing to your body. I'm here.
You're here.
Yeah, I'm closer.
It's just,
Non-threatening, I'll do sideways. I'll look this way.
it just makes me uncomfortable. I don't know what to do next.
Okay.
Should I push you away
Okay.
or
Okay, you're
say
thinking.
something? Yeah, I'm thinking.
You're thinking. Tell me
And I
about
have
your.
anxiety,
Okay. All right.
so,
Tell me about your body. How is it affecting your body?
I feel like I'm getting tense
Okay. Where do you feel the tension?
in my shoulders and in my legs,
Okay.
in my knees,
All right. Anywhere
because I'm
else?
bracing myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm stepping back. I'm stepping back. Okay. Thank you for that. That's it. Okay. I do that because this is where people come into therapy. They're backed up against the wall and I say, okay. And what I try to get and I want to encourage you to do is not wait until you're backed up against the wall. If I take one step out, I have all sorts of choices. But if I'm backed up against the wall, I'm not having that much choice. So, recognizing what stress does to your body. Okay? She said, tension. People carry it in different places. Neck. She may have started sweating. She may have started clasping her hands. She may have thought, what's gonna happen? Her cortisol was probably dumping, going, what is she gonna do to me? This is public, that's why I said I won't shame you and try to, tell people I'm not gonna threaten them in any way. So that tells you, your body tells you when you need to stop, if you listen. But taking that time out to say, how am I feeling today? It's so hard because you're so busy going, what do they need? Okay, but if you take the time to go, what do I need? I'm gonna give you some ideas of that in a few minutes, but really, when you think about the stress and how it affects you, your blood pressure's gone up, your mind's going, I used to say I was thinking for two people. I was making plans for two people. I was concentrating and all the things that it felt like were on me. Okay. My sister lived out of town, so I was the one, but like I said, I also had help. So knowing what it does to you, this is where fight and flight and freeze come in. Y'all heard of those? Okay. Our response to stress. One is, we'll fight back. You were trying to be nice, and I think I heard, I need you to step back, which is a great response. Once you know it, sometimes we have to let people in too far before we go, I need some space. And we're trying to be nice. Okay, but sometimes we've got to realize that that's what we need, and it's hard to say, I need you to step back. I actually had a client one time when I worked at Brentwood Hospital, and I went up to her, I'd done her assessment, I knew her story, and she called me to her, and I went up to her and she hit the wall like this, and I chuckled, and I thought, I'm not threatening. I'd gotten in her space, but I didn't know it. I had to learn these things. So, I run, or I fight back. Well, first I might fight back, get out of my way. I don't know what to do. I can't do this. Pressure, just pushing things away. I'm gonna ignore it, however you choose to do that. Run away, I'm gonna just shut down. I'm gonna go to the bedroom. I'm gonna go next door and just not think for a few minutes. I'm gonna do whatever. I'm gonna get in the car. That's pretty drastic, but I'm gonna get away. And freeze is something that they just started talking about in the last 12, 15, maybe longer, I don't know. Been in practice so long, I can't keep track. But freeze is something that we do too. It's like, I don't know what to do. So I just stand there in the tension. So if you realize what you tend to do in those times, this might help you to figure out where you are. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay. So I'm not off base with that. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate your help with that. It's just such a better way of teaching than me trying to tell you, this is what happens. Oh, the other thing that I learned, some people say they get butterflies. Some people get TMJ. Y'all know why we get TMJ? Stress, okay? But the thing is, the story that I heard from a dentist, he said, what happens is that to survive as cavemen, if they got their jaw broken, they died. They didn't cook their meat, so they died. So we started clenching our teeth to survive. So if you find that you do that, or you find that you have headaches, all signs that it's time for you to step out, see what else you can do for you. It takes some concentration, especially if you've been so focused on somebody else. Okay, next thing. I know some of you may not want to write or choose to write, and that's fine, or be able to write. But this is the poem.
Did I mess you up?
Did you get the copies of the paper that said I have to?
I did the one
Okay.
that I collated,
Okay,
3 pages.
yeah, that's this.
Yeah.
That's
all
okay.
I did.
Okay, would you mind?
No.
You don't have to do that one, but if you'll do the last one that says what I really need is. And just have those, and it's a single page. Thank you. So, okay, you can turn your pages over if you'd like. And what I want you to do is take a couple of minutes, and you can do it as quickly as you can. You can do it in your mind, you can write it down. Write down what you have to do today. Do. It's another exercise. I know it's uncomfortable, but we learn by these uncomfortable things. And don't worry, I will not ask you to share in front of everyone. Okay, was that fun?
No.
No.
My list is getting too long.
It is
Mine
getting
too.
too long, isn't it? Okay. I learned how to do this, or this was an exercise I did in graduate school, and if you want to think about somebody that thinks they got a lot of things they have to do, talk to a graduate student. At least that was myself back then. But this exercise was pretty phenomenal. How do you feel writing down I have to's? Anybody willing to share
Sure.
or think about the I have to's?
I get us up in the morning, my husband is the one that has the problem. And so we get up in the morning, I fix him his coffee, I make sure he eats some breakfast, make sure he gets his pills. And then I bring him, like today I brought him to my daughter, and I went to work at Fitness Lady. I worked the front desk for a while, they're having class. And then, I came here.
Mhm.
And then when I leave here, I gotta go to my parents' house and pick him up and take him home, we gotta feed the dog, we gotta eat
Okay.
dinner.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is
How
it
do you,
enough?
yeah, how do you feel
Worn out.
sharing that? Worn out, okay.
It's a lot to do.
It is a lot to do, okay? Anybody else wanna share how they feel with their list? Yes,
Backed up against the wall.
right, okay. Now, what I'd like for you to do is I want you to look at your list. This is another thing that may stretch you or that you may be a little uncomfortable with, but I want you to write, I choose to. And if you are writing the exercise, go ahead and write down, I choose to, with every single thing you just listed down, I have to.
Can't find it.
I'll be right back. I know y'all need just a minute.
There's bottled water and pretzels in the little kitchen if anybody needs any water or anything.
No. Okay. How do you feel now? I choose to. Did it make a difference?
I have a
Oh,
different
really?
list if I choose to.
You have,
My I choose to list is different than my have to list.
okay. Did you try writing out that way though? I choose to? Okay. What I found was, and once again, it was in graduate school, it's like, I choose to study. No, not really. I choose to study so I can make the grades to become a social worker and get my certification. Yes. I choose to get up in the morning and take care of my loved one. Yeah. I choose to. It's hard. I choose to do this because I want to do what I can for them. So it can change how you feel because I have to is tense. I have to. It's a demanding statement. I choose to gives you some flexibility. Some people even change it to I want to. I want to because I love this person. You can, I use choose because some people like that phrase better. So that's why I encourage you maybe when you find out that you're saying I have to do this or you're feeling backed up against the wall, if you can say, wait a minute, what am I gonna choose to do next? What else can I do? It has some flexibility to it. Does that make sense?
And I look at that saying, I choose to, meaning things that I'm willing to do because I know that they're there on my bucket list that I need to do.
Mhm.
What I would really like to do is get out in the yard and dig up weeds and work out in the yard, but I don't have time to do that. But, so I look at, I choose to and I want to as two separate things. I choose to do what I'm obligated, what I feel I'm obligated to do,
Right,
but
okay.
that's not what I wanna do.
Well, and I encourage people to, even if it's 15 minutes of working out in the yard, if my loved one's taking a nap, or if they're watching TV, or if they're engaged in something else, or if I have home health and they're in there bathing my loved one. You know, I have a few minutes to take some time out. It's not a couple hours, it's not a half a day, it's not, oh great, I can go finish this part of the yard. And so it's just, I invite you to maybe change the language if you find that that's helpful. You know, all of these are just suggestions that I've heard through the years. How you think affects how you feel. I got an example off of the internet that talked about, it showed the scenario, walking the loved one out, putting him in the car, buckling him up, and then going, I forgot something, I gotta go back in the house. Ever happened to you? Just, yeah, I understand. So then you come back and your loved ones unbuckled themselves and they've walked off. And you're like, and you don't see them. They're bushes, they're, you know, whatever. You hadn't been gone long, but they're still mobile. What you tell yourself is gonna have a lot to do with how you feel and how you cope. If you tell yourself, I'm the worst caregiver ever, my God, they're gonna get hit by a car, they're gonna die, and it's all gonna be my fault. We've jumped to the worst case scenario, but some of us do that. And it's scary. When you don't know where they are, it's scary. It's like, what are they thinking? Why'd they leave? Well, they were probably looking for me. So I look at that situation and I think, what can I do differently? I also look at historical information. Have I been a good caregiver so far? Did I really mess up everything? No. This is a tough time. But if I sit there and tell myself, I've got to call the family, I've got to call 911, I've got, you know, if I slow down just a fraction and keep looking around, or I call the neighbor, or I go to the neighbor's door and say, have you seen so and so? I get more people looking for them. I'm not the only one. Or I call, you know, I call to somebody and say, you know, the daughter or the son, and say, can you come? I'm not sure where they are. So I call in reinforcements if I can, and I know that's hard. We try to do it all ourselves. We go back to that superhero, but none of us can really do everything ourselves. So that's one of the things that I wanted to share with y'all. Here, I invite you to, and I learned this language from looking and preparing this talk, and I liked it. It said, I invite you to think, I need to let go of our relationship and we need to form a new one. The old relationship was, this was my peer, or this was my parent, or this was my loved one, or my sister, or my brother, and I could count on them to take care of themselves. The new relationship is, they need my help. I call it, as far as being a social worker, I call it meeting the people where they are. You know, I don't want to go in and expect somebody to know who the president is, or that they need to know the date. If they want to tell me about their childhood, like my mother got to where she was doing, fine. Tell me about your childhood. How's that? You know, what was that like? And you see them light up because they're where they are. But when we try to control, or we try to make things what we think it should be, that's when we get tense.
And that happens all the time,
Yeah.
it seems.
Yeah. So meeting them where they are and accepting where it is. You know, if we hold on to what we remember or what we want them to be able to do, then we're struggling. We're struggling with a reality that's not a reality now. It's a reality we used to have. I forgot a couple of things. Apparently, I forgot the sheet that I was going to share with you all, which I will mail to you. Out of my own pocket. You don't have to pay for it with the bridge. But the other thing, I was going to bring marbles. Because you know we all lose our marbles. But the exercise I was going to do, I've done it before with pennies. I actually had some coworkers put pennies in their hands. But if you don't have a problem with your hands, I'd like for you to just grab, and if you want to grab both of them, just hold on to whatever it is. Feel that tension in your body? Okay. Now just let go. How's that feel? Yeah. But when we're trying to make it something that it isn't, then we're struggling, and we may not have to struggle. Because if we meet it where it is, you know, if my loved one is coming to me 5 times and saying, "Where's my watch?" Well, I'll help you find your watch in a minute. And I'm sitting there folding clothes or whatever. And they come back, "Where's my watch? I need to find what time is it? I'm gonna help you in just a minute. I'm really busy." And I might be able to do that 3 or 4 times. And the 5th time, I might be like, "I'm really busy right now, and I'm really getting, I can't do it right now, and I'm getting tense, and I'm tired, I'm sorry, but I'll help you in a minute." And they hear that little voice, and they go, "You don't love me? Are you mad at me?" And then you're like, "Oh God, I have failed as a caregiver." No, you've been human. You had that moment where you just said, "I can't." I'm being honest. I love you. I'll get to it in a minute. Now, I know some of you may have to do that 20 times a day. And that's tough. But the more we try to keep things where we want it to be, the more we struggle. Is that pretty clear, the example that I gave? Okay. I'd like to show you one thing that has helped me through the years. It's generic enough. Everybody see? Okay. So this is what I call, it's a big important word, baseline. This is reality, okay? Reality is what I see, taste, touch, feel, well, the same thing as touch, hear, okay? All of those things, I've taken in information, reality, okay? The other thing with this is it's in the here and now. If I'm trying to be somewhere else in the past, or if I'm trying to be in the future, I'm not doing so good. Probably tense, right? So if reality is here, but my expectation is, I wanted to do this today. Okay, I'm gonna give you the example of school because we all remember school, right? So let's say that I did pretty good, made 85 on most of my tests. This test, I promised myself I'm gonna make a 95. So I'm used to making 85. I'm gonna make a 95 on this one. I study, or maybe I'm gonna make a 98, whatever. So I have put everything I have into it. Let's say I make a 90. What happens?
You feel disappointed.
Right. I don't celebrate that 5 points I did better. You know, maybe I made the A. I don't celebrate that. I am disappointed, or I'm negative, and I'm gonna tell myself what I didn't do right. Shoot, I should have studied harder. I should have done this. I should have gotten that question. So the more you're in reality and where things are today, the easier it's gonna be on you. That's a visual help to me all the time. I always think, okay, where are my expectations? Because with the expectations, I'm gonna be disappointed. And if my expectations are in other people, they're really gonna be disappointed. Because I have pretty high standards that I put myself through, and I oftentimes put them on somebody else. I try not to, but I do. So I try not to do expectations. I try to deal with what's there. Any questions? I know I'm covering a lot. Yes?
What about if someone asks you like every 3 to 5 minutes the same question and you answer it every time they ask? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think that part of that is the validating. You know, it's. I know that you're concerned about this. Let's sit down and talk about it. You know, or is there something we can do to help you? Because they're anxious. Something is out of place. Something is not working for them. So to try to meet them where they are, what is it that's, you know, if it's a question, it may not be answerable. You know, when my mom's sitting there saying, this isn't my house, why are we here? Well, I got to where I'd say, well, Mom, it may not be the house, but we're here now. Could we go in and just, you know, sit down and rest for a while? Kind of convert, change, redirect is another way that people say it. So that you give choices, and they're pretty good ones. Instead of, okay, well, I'm gonna build you a new house that you'll recognize. No, that's pretty insane. But as a caregiver, when I get in super mode, I might think that. Like I said, oftentimes we're not rational. But if we can be, it works a little bit better.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing your mom, would you have taken your mom by your old house to say, Mom, here's my old house?
No,
Okay,
because that confuses them too.
okay.
Yeah, I actually took my mother to my house. My mother passed in January of this year, and I took her, God, just 2 or 3 months before to my house, and she was just like, "When did you buy this house, Johnny?" I was called Johnny as a child. It was like 18 years ago, you know. It's like, and she's like, and then she was like going, "She's grown up. Did y'all know that she bought a house?" It's like, yeah, I bought a house. So yeah, it can just,
Confuses them more.
yeah, because I did try that, and there were times. I mean, she actually built with my father a camp down at Lake Vistano, and we were down there one time, and she's like, "What is this?" And that broke my heart because she just loved that place like I do. So that was a tough one, but she didn't recognize it. So that's meeting them where they are, not where I want them to be. I wanted her to still be happy and think this is the greatest place on earth. But we didn't have those connections anymore. So I had to go, okay, well, we're here now, let's go out on the boat, you know, or whatever. Any other questions? Thank you for asking that. It's a great question. And that is tough, like I said, when it's repetitive. The other thing that happens when we get with I would have, I should have, and I could have. You know, when you're doing that, you're beating yourself up. You've set yourself up for regret. I hadn't done it. I'm less than. I didn't meet my standard. If we could go, okay, I did my best. That feels a little bit better. I can wear that. It's not a prickly jacket, you know, it's softer. It's more gentle. Another thing I invite you to do, well, that's what I was saying about in the here and now. Oh, we did the holding exercise, and I didn't tell you everything with that. So the Buddhists say too many graspings. You know, when we hold on to things, and we Americans like to hold on to things. Sometimes it's time, sometimes it's furniture, sometimes it's relationships, sometimes it's job, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's a lot of things. We want to hold on to it. And yet, the less we grasp, the more we live. We're free to experience things without it being confined to what we're trying to hold on to. So, I'll add that phrase to our exercise. They also talked about not drawing conclusions without facts. If you say, oh, I'm horrible and I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm failing at being a caregiver. Today I might be being challenged, yes. But do I really need to cause myself to feel less than, because then my stress is going to go up, because then I don't have the skills, I don't have the ability, I don't have the self-esteem, I don't have the positive attitude to think, okay, I can make another decision. Did I feel backed against the wall a few times with what's going on with my mom? Or when that phone rang and I'd see it was her caregiver and I'd go, and sometimes it was just, do you want to come over for dinner? Luckily. But my reaction wasn't, oh, she's inviting me to dinner. It was, what am I facing? What am I going to need to do? Backed up against the wall until I get information. The more information I have, the better I can deal with it. When we go to extremes, when we say, I always do it wrong, or I, never do it right, when I use those absolutes, I've set myself up to. And what we tell ourselves has a lot to do with how we feel. And how we feel has a lot to do with our stress. And if we can keep that stress down, we can make better decisions. If you're backed up against this wall, the other thing is you hold your breath. We didn't talk about that. That's how anxiety feels, but it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to run? Am I going to hide? Am I going to just freeze? I don't know. And your thinking's just like, shut off. You take the breath, literally, and you take another breath, and you relax, and then you can think clearer. I actually had an exercise that I did one time, and they had us hold our breath. They had us read, and then they had us hold our breath, and then they had us try to read again. And the words just jumped around. Couldn't even make sense of the words. It's like, oh, that's what stress does to people. I can't even, and it could have been a simple sentence, but because I wasn't functioning with everything I could, it made it difficult. Ask others that have been in the situation. Your question about what do you do when they ask you over and over and over. We may have experts here in the room that have been through it. Do we? Anybody have any other answer besides what I shared? Not an easy situation, but if we ask, we don't feel so alone. We have resources here. We have people to call. We have our validation person, Stacy, to be able to maybe come out to the home or answer a question by phone. We have resources. As I was looking things up, internet and the computer are just crazy about all the information you can find, but I found a thing called Dementia Trailblazers. Wait, did I write that down right? Care Blazers. It's not Trailblazers, it's Care Blazers. You've heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lady named Dr. Natalia Edmonds. She's a psychologist, and so I took down one of the things that she talked about. She specializes in caregivers, and I just think that term is so cool, care blazing. I'm not going to be superhero, but I'm going to have a little music behind me. So she has an acronym, where she talks about calm. And first one is coping statements. Like I said, what I tell myself has a lot to do with how I feel. I'm failing, I'm not doing a good job, I can't do this, I'm incompetent, somebody else could do such a better job. Some of the examples when we do look at what we say, this is hard, and I know I can get through this, or I can make the next right decision for right now. If we look at the rest of our loved one's life and think about what the disease might do, oh no. But today, hopefully, I've got the right next answer. I've heard some people say, do the next right thing, or the next best choice. Sometimes we get caught in, I don't know what it is. Well, with problem solving, you come up with all those different things. You make all sorts of thoughts and think about what you could do, and you choose one, and if it doesn't work, you go to another one, or you make a phone call. So, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's not rocket science, no decision, no hypothesis was ever figured out. And maybe, I don't know what percentage weren't figured out by the first choice that was made either. Telling yourself, I have the answers I need, coping statements, or I have a place where I can make a phone call, or I have a resource, or I need to take some time out, or, Johnett suggested maybe I say I choose to, or I take a step out and I go, wait, I have some time to make a decision. This isn't hopefully, it's not a crisis I have to respond to in 10 seconds. But sometimes we make it 10 seconds because we think we've got to be quick on our feet, or we want to solve whatever the issue is. The next one is air. And then she talks about breathing. And I just gave you the idea of that. We don't want to hold our breath. It's not good. The tension in our body, that's that prison wall that I read about. That's that boxing yourself in, feeling trapped in the pressure. So she talks about take a deep breath. Breathing lowers the blood pressure and releases some of the tension, also helps the blood flow. When you do this, blood kind of stops and everything stops and nothing works. You take that breath and you do some of the breathing and you feel like you can do something else. The next one, the L, stands for leave. Okay, this one is, I like this one, leave mentally if you can't leave physically. But you can leave also emotionally, you can leave spiritually, you can stop and say a prayer, you can stop and read your Bible or listen to a meditation. You can leave for a few minutes. But sometimes when we're so driven and we think, I've still got so many things on my list, we don't give ourselves the time to take that break in between. At one point, I had 24 people years ago at the hospital that I was the only social worker for. I did everything. I did the support groups, the talks, the individual sessions. And I was like, I can't do this. And there were times where I'd just say, in between, I'd give a talk and I go, I'm going to my office, I'm not touching the phone, I'm not doing anything, I'm closing the door and I'm sitting. And that restored me enough for the next activity. Instead of me going, boom, okay, finish that, boom, I'm in that, boom, I'm in that. I had to get back and reboot if you want to go back to a computer. I've got to restore myself to be able to do what I needed to do. The last one, the M, is movement. Once again, we don't wanna be frozen. This could be yoga, it could be stretches, it could be indoor bicycle, it could be that you walk around the house, or you take your loved one if they're mobile and you say, let's go for a walk in the park. And you make it, if it's 10 minutes long, it's a good thing. It's something different for them, it's something different for you. So, that's one of the things I wanted to share with you. Having a sense of humor helps. Think y'all know what I mean. I could have examples, but I thought of some last night, and right now I'm not thinking of any. But I guess one of the things, my mother, we borrowed her car for a while, and I asked her, I said, can I borrow your car? We had one that was in a wreck. Can we borrow your car? Well, then all of a sudden she's like, where's my car? She hadn't driven in years, but where's my car? Somebody took my car. Mom, I got it at my house, and I'll bring it back if you want it. I bring it back, but 4 years before that, it wasn't her car. She didn't recognize it. It was like, whose car is this? And she'd walk around and I'd say, Mom, it's yours. It's the blue car we bought you. And so it's like, I can either go, oh my God, of course, you loaned it to me. No, I'll bring it back. If that makes you more comfortable, it's in your driveway.
That's what the support group that I attend, what that's done for me, because, and I was telling Paulette, we laugh, we cry, we share, and that has been a blessing.
Yes, yes. And
we have to find humor. We've got to be able to laugh.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I had one patient one time I was sitting on the porch with, and we were just sitting there, and he said, Johnett, look out there. He lived out in the country a little bit, and he said, look at all the different colored greens there are. I never thought about it. I sat there and I was like, I can't even name all the beautiful greens in every single tree. So he knew how to take that minute out and see what was there. I just seen trees and leaves. But all of a sudden it's like, so sometimes it's what we focus on. So that leads me into the next thing that I wanted to say. A few years ago I was in a group of people. We called it a spiritual group. We actually called it the luminal group, which luminal or luminal space means that you're being challenged, and so we got together because we were challenged. So anyway, then we became the spiritual group, which was the answer to the luminal space. But anyway, so we started looking at things. But the thing that we did for a while was we did an exercise, and I invite you to do this when I wasn't going to give you all of it, but we would write down every day 3 things that caused us to have awe, where we just went, wow. I mean, it could be that you saw, I love bluebirds. I saw a bluebird in a different park today when I was walking. I was like, yay. It doesn't take me much, sorry. I've always kind of been happy with little things. And really, life's got a bunch of little things. So 3 things that give you awe. 3 things that surprised you. It might be that somebody called you, or that you were thinking about calling them and they called you. That's the better surprise. Or one of the things I think is interesting when you told a book title and then all of a sudden you hear it on the news or something. A friend tells you something and there's just that connection that you don't really expect. Some of those things are that surprising, like, wow, that's pretty neat. And then the other 3 things would be what you're grateful for the day. I'm grateful that everybody's safe today. I can look at things that aren't going right, and I could list them down. But if I focus on that, I'm not gonna feel as good. So if I focus on some of the things that are there, that maybe I don't take the time to look at. I know these things take time. Some of them don't take, 5 to 10 minutes. It sounds like I'm asking you to do a lot. I'm asking you to pick 1 or 2 of the things that I've talked about. Or just think about some of the things. Because I've given you a lot. I'm sorry, I had an hour, and I try not to get people bored. So hopefully I didn't. What I'd like to end with is, if you feel comfortable, I'd like to do just a short relaxation exercise. Oh yeah! Oh, all right.
Relax me away.
Two thumbs up. Okay, I'm gonna sit down because I'll relax better. All right.
Relax
So
me away. I'll do it.
if you feel comfortable, put your feet flat on the ground, and just drop your shoulders. Close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And when you're ready, just breathe naturally. And then I invite you to breathe in to the count of 5, your count, not mine. And then just breathe out naturally. And then I want you to continue to do that. Feel your muscles relax. Everything is a little bit lighter. Also, you might want to just drop your tongue in your mouth. That relaxes your jaw. Continue just to take in nice relaxing breath. And let it out. And I'm just going to let you do that for like a minute or 2 right now.
Better watch it when I start snoring.
It's all right. Snoring is acceptable. Ready, continue to take in deep breaths a little bit slower, and you can just open your eyes when you're ready and come back to this time and this place. That was 2 minutes, y'all. Feel a little different than when we started it?
You're ready for a nap?
Okay. So if you can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just think about it.
Johnett, I find that there's an app called Calm.
Yes, yes.
For 10 minutes a day, I do it religiously,
Good.
and it breaks the day. It's free.
Yes.
And just,
They've got it on commercials. I have not gone to it.
yeah,
So-
it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
It's like this, but 10 minutes of this.
Yeah.
And
Excellent.
It's really good.
Guided meditations or just
Yeah.
music behind?
It's not hippie, it's not weird, it's not.
Right.
It's just nice.
Good, good. So another resource from another person. Yeah. There's all sorts of things out there. It's a matter of you taking the time for you. I tell people, I've been a hospice social worker for years now, and I tell people, I'm there for the patient, but the patient's got the nurse, the CNA, the chaplain, the social worker, and the caregiver is the one that I go and go, how are you doing? Because I got to keep them doing well so that they can care for the patient. So my hat's off to each of you. I know it's not easy. I'm so glad that y'all came out here to take an hour to find out hopefully something that might help you. And, thank y'all very much. I apologize, I do have a sheet that I will send you it's called What I Really Need Is, and it has a list of really cool things. So I'm gonna send that to you so you can circle it, cause sometimes it's hard to identify what we need, cause we're so busy trying to figure out what somebody else needs.